everyone, welcome to the community classroom. This is Dr. Tracey McCarthy, psychologist, attorney, and educator, and we're going to be addressing another group of American Indians that appear to have both ancient European roots and ancient Hebrew roots. And by Hebrew, we mean anyone who is descended from one of two individuals known by the name of Aber or Eber or Iber or Heber. And as always, if this appears on anything other than Dr. Tracey McCarthy, it is stolen and unauthorized. Let's get started. The name of this mysterious Indian group was the Doag Indians, and they were a group of Virginia Indians, and in the 1600s they were located along the Potomac River. However, by the late 17th century, the English forced them out of that region. There are a few things of note related to the Doag. One is they maintain trade relations with Maryland tribes, particularly the Nanticoke, and we've already talked about them before in a previous discussion. Another important thing to note about this particular group is they were involved in the colonist uprising known as Bacon's Rebellion in Virginia. It's also believed that the Doag were eventually absorbed into other Indian nations in Maryland. Not only were the Doag related to Bacon's Rebellion, this particular name traces back to Scotland, and it traces back to the Picts, and it's also related to the personal name of Cadog, also Cato. This name also is of Welsh origin. And you can see down below a number of variations in terms of the spellings of this particular name. And interestingly, you can see this Indian and Scottish name appear in a number of places. You see primarily it is in the United States as a surname. Next you have England, South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia. And here is additional information related to the name Doag. One thing to note is that this is a Gaelic name, so it's a Scots Gaelic name, and that's important to note. You can also see that it has a variety of spellings that you can see here also, including D-O-A-G, D-O-E-G, D-O-A-K, and even just D-O-G. Now, this name was first recorded in the latter half of the 14th century. And here is consistent information with the spelling of D-O-A-K. Again, it is a Scottish surname and it is Gaelic. And as you can see, the name Doag also relates to the surname Cato. And this surname is one of the most ancient surnames that came from France during the Middle Ages. And you can see that it also translates to little fighter, related to this Saint Cadog over here. And you can also see the surname Cato was first found in Brittany, and it was related to an ancient family that had lands, manors, and estates in that area. There's significant folklore and mythology surrounding the Doag, and part of this folklore and mythology actually involves the Welsh. One narrative is that prior to Columbus ever coming to this part of the world, several hundreds of years prior to this, individuals came over from Europe, and the story involves a prince named Madoc. And so there is the belief that in this narrative that a number of individuals came over, men, women, and children, and they came to form a colony, and that many of them did not actually return to Wales. Now, according to this legend, this Welsh prince sailed to America in 1170, and so this was over 300 years prior to Christopher Columbus making a voyage. And so the legend goes that this particular individual traveled to what is now the United States, and that this is part of the origin story of these quote-unquote Welsh Indians. Interestingly, there is also a connection between what are known as the Cherokee and the Doag. This is where this legend takes an interesting turn. Not only do you have an American Indian group identifying as Welsh Indians with this Welsh name, and then you have a group of Welsh individuals, and then you have this legend where a group of Welsh individuals actually traveled, according to this legend, to America to establish this colony to avoid violence back home. Based upon research, this name also relates to a Hebrew group. And you can see here that Doag is the name of what is known as an Edomite and identified as the chief herdsman to Saul, king of Israel. Now, this is mentioned in the Hebrew Bible in 1 Samuel, so you can look that up if you'd like to. This individual, Doag, is depicted as the antagonist of David, responsible for the deaths of a large number of priests. So this legend takes a number of interesting turns related to this name, Doag. And here you can see additional information related to the name Doag. It means fearful. And you can see again a chief of Saul's herdsmen. And so you can also see further down that he was involved in this king's order to destroy the priests of Nob. And you can also see the locations where you can see notations related to this name in scripture. Again, here you can see at 1 Samuel 22:18, and the king said to Doag, "Turn thou and fall upon the priests." And Doag the Edomite turned, and he fell upon the priests and slew on that day 75 persons that did wear a linen ephod. And so again, this is very interesting that you have this Gaelic name that's also related to the Hebrews, and you actually have a narrative in scripture related to this particular individual, and this would include the descendants of that particular individual. And you also have this name related to a Gaelic group in Scotland and a related, perhaps, group of American Indians. And you can see here in Strong's Concordance, if you care to look at that, you can see the definition and the phonetic spelling, Doag, and you can see the definition is an Edomite. And Doag, it comes out of the root of Daag, and you can see again it means to be anxious or concerned, to fear. You can see also the translation down below: anxious, become anxious, dread, full of anxiety. Now, there are many historical narratives related to individuals claiming to have traveled to the Americas prior to Columbus. This particular narrative and legend bears looking into, and so it looks like there's a bit of research that an individual might be encouraged to do, particularly if you are from that area. If you're a Maryland Indian, Virginia Indian, a Scottish individual, this might be an area of research that you might be encouraged to pursue a little bit further. Remember, knowledge is power. Take care and see you soon.